Who doesn't like pudding? Pudding! So today what we've got a pudding keyboard from SPC. So today we're looking at this SPC Gear GK630 Pudding Tournament Kailh RGB mechanical gaming keyboard. One hell of a mouthful. It's RGB, and as you can see, it's got the brown switches on this model. On the back of the box, you've got a sketch diagram of the keyboard. It tells you about individually backlit RGB keys, N key rollover, aluminium case, macro functions, detachable cable. The sides of the box have also got multilingual specifications. Okay, so inside the box, you've got this bit of foam, which is not really needed. What was around the keyboard. You have two pieces of foam to protect the keyboard inside the box. That is needed, to be honest with you, so that's good. You've got the keyboard itself. You've also got the detachable cable there. And you've also got the manual. And just regarding the manual, really it could have been done, just being a QR code what people could scan. It is set up nice, but do you really need a big thick manual to use a keyboard this day and age? Okay, the cable, obviously it is a detachable cable. It's USB Type-C on one end and USB Type-A on the other. It looks like standard USB 2-speed cable. It is braided, which is good. It's 1.8 meters long. It has a cable tidy on it. It seems quite rugged, as in it'll be able to take quite a bit of rough and tumble, if you want to put it that way. But it also seems quite not very flexible, is probably the best way of putting it. It basically keeps its shape, which could be a good thing, but it also could be a negative depending on how you prefer it. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the top of the keyboard. As you can see, it's got pudding keycaps. If you're not sure what pudding keycaps are, or you were confused why they called it pudding, it basically means that they're transparent, or mostly transparent, as in you can see around the colouring or the lighting through the sides of the caps. It's a bit like I'm having white walled but the light up, so that's pretty good if you're into that sort of thing. You can also see obviously the letters light up as well. Now, we have got all our studio lights off. There's just basic daylight, and it's at the moment roughly about 7 p.m. So it gives you a rough idea how bright they are. It does actually look a little bit brighter on the camera than it actually does in person. For example, if you're looking down at it, which you're generally going to be if you're using it anyway, it does light up and look pretty nice. But when you do look at it from the side, or for example, side on, like at the bottom here, these bits don't light up as bright as you'd probably expect. It looks a little bit brighter, to be honest, on the camera than it actually does in person, but still, it looks fairly nice. There are quite a few different options you can do for the lighting effects. You just basically hold the function key down and use some of these buttons over here. Each button does 3 different effects, so you just press the first one, it goes on to one effect, you press it again, it goes on to another one, and again another, and so forth, as you can see there. And that one must be off. So as you can see, you've got lots of different effects there depending on how you want it. So that's pretty good. Let me put it back on that one. Right, so you've got lots of options on there, which is pretty good. You've also got software multimedia keys as well by holding the function down and pressing things like F1 through 12, or should I say F1 through 11. You can basically go straight to computer, web browser, calculator, and so forth. You've also got other options for doing custom backlight modes as well. That's totally up to you if you do that. It does tell you in the manual how to do that as well. So you've got all the things you probably need as well. You can also press the function plus the Windows key to lock the keyboard as well, so which is obviously function and the Windows key there, and you can see the light goes off, and obviously you've got a caps lock light as well. And you've got quite a few different options depending on how you prefer to have it. So to the bottom of the keyboard, and I'm actually quite surprised here and impressed in some ways, because a lot of big manufacturers don't do some of the things this keyboard does right. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it does have a few good things. First thing is, there is a keycap remover on the bottom, so you could actually store your keycap remover on the bottom of the keyboard without losing it. I've not really seen any keyboards which really do that much, to be honest with you, and it's always easy to lose those. You stick them in a drawer and you'll never see it ever again. And then you end up, if you want to replace your keycaps, you have to end up buying a new tool, or you have to basically prise it off with a screwdriver, which isn't the best idea, and I don't advise that either. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the cable. So the cable's pretty good. it plugs in. It's keyed in, so I didn't notice it when we just looked at the cable. There is a little bit of what sticks up there on the key, on the actual cable. It has to plug in that way, and it can be a little bit fiddly plugging it back in for the first time, but once you've done it once or twice, it's not too bad. Now, it's got 3 routing holes, so you can route the cable through the center there, or you can make it go around the edges. There are 3 feet on the front, rubberized feet, which stop it slipping, and 2 on the back, which is good. You can also raise the back of the keyboard up as well. You've got 2 options. You can go for the small rise or the tall one, and both options do have the rubberized part there as well to stop it slipping. So if you did put it on your table, for example, put it that way up, it's really not going to budge, or if it does, very little. The bit where you can see wobbling is actually the table wobbling, not the keyboard. So pretty impressed with that. It does look pretty good, to be honest with you. And you've got all these functions. And again, if you want to remove the keys, it's pretty straightforward. You just take the keycap remover out, find the key you want to remove, put the keycap remover over the key. Let's see if I can do it. And then pull up, and it'll pull out, and there you go. You can see the keycaps. Again, these are brown switches on this. Okay, now down to the sound test. So first of all, this clip is unedited, so it will sound a little bit different than the previous clips which have been edited. You can see this little box here, that is a wireless microphone. It's exactly 20 centimeters away from the keyboard, so you can hear what it actually sounds like. So let's start off with, for example, the enter key, the shift, the space, and the rest of the keys. Apart from the space, most of the keys sound roughly the same. They are quite stable to type on. They are actually pretty good. I've found really expensive keyboards. For example, the NZXT keyboard we just reviewed, which is well over £100, and some of the keys are a little bit shaky. This keyboard, they're not. So it shows that they actually have put some thought and actually made a decent keyboard. They've actually put some money into it and just not ripping people off by charging you a fortune and then charging you even more if you want to customize it. So actually, I'm actually quite surprised by this keyboard. I've never heard of the company before, and it actually does what it says on the tin. So I must say, I do actually highly recommend this keyboard. If you enjoyed this video, why not click this video up here about the new NZXT keyboard? Or you could click this video over here about the new Deep Cool keyboard. Otherwise, just make sure you click the subscribe and give us a good thumbs up.